Welcome to
NSCoder Chicago.
Welcome to
NSCoder Chicago.
Welcome to
NSCoder Chicago. NSCoder Chicago.
Welcome to
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is the NSCoder Chicago podcast. We're recording for the first time here, just trying things out. My name is David, and we also have...
My name's Sean. Hi, everybody.
like I said, we're trying this out for the first time, so, we're figuring everything out as we go, but the basic thing that we want to do here is bring you news stories related to iOS development and maybe just tech news in general, and act as a kind of summary for news happening in the space recently.
Yeah. And if you have any compliments, complaints, or questions, I think the best way to engage with our community is probably to find us on Meetup. I think that's the best place. You could see us in person too. We generally host an in-person gathering the last Tuesday of every month. NSCoder Chicago and Cocoa Heads have been going on for, 20 years at least now.
Right.
I'm just the most recent host over the last 10 years.
And it's an awesome time. I've been going a lot recently, and it's been really fun. I gave the last talk. And,
Yeah, it was great.
And there's such a good group of people there, very supportive, and just a great time to just chat with everyone with, related knowledge and interests. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, community is the cure, it makes
yeah.
it's good to get out.
Absolutely.
Talk to people. Yeah.
I guess we can go ahead and get started here. The first story I've got today is new iOS dev tools and Xcode alternatives. The iOS tooling landscape is expanding fast. AI editors like Cursor and Windsurf are improving. Niche tools like Supervibes are emerging for Swift-specific workflows, and traditional players are refining their offerings. None fully replace Xcode yet, but viable complements are finally appearing. Recently launched is Supervibes. There's also Cursor, a more popular AI-powered code editor, and Windsurf, a new AI coding tool with collaboration and multi-file editing. There's Fleet or JetBrains, Nova by Panic, GitHub Copilot. And so basically, these are, alternatives to Xcode or complements to Xcode and that IDE. I'm kind of curious, have you used any other IDEs for Xcode development or even been curious about it?
Oh man, over the years there's been a bunch of alternatives that are popped up, or occasionally you'll at NSCoder meet a weirdo that uses like Emacs or Vim.
Okay.
But I think years ago, JetBrains app code, I'm not even sure if they still actively develop that. You were just saying, I know from their .NET IDE that they're investing a lot in their own proprietary AI thing, but I haven't heard anyone using app code for Mac or iOS development recently.
Yeah.
The problem or, opportunity, I guess, with any second party or third party tool with any of Apple's development platforms is that ultimately, we're all tied to the whims of Apple. So even if you got the best tool in the world, either Apple will make a change and it'll break, and then your dev pipeline will be messed up for a little while until that third party can catch up. Or maybe this is the best worst situation, that cool tool gets acquired by Apple.
Right.
And at that point, then who knows? Like I remember, God, what was it, a decade ago when they acquired TestFlight? TestFlight just went dark for a little while.
Right.
And then finally, years later, it popped up again as a first party tool.
Under the same name too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen a couple other tools. I think it's Xcode Cloud is built on something that they bought out too.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and so maybe some of these other alternatives mentioned here could go the same path.
Everything is going so fast.
Yeah,
I hadn't heard of Superwall or Supervibes, and I pulled that up as you were talking about the the news item. And this is, I don't, how long have they been around? This is crazy. This is just this year, but they have a whole ecosystem. They have a whole.
Wow.
they've got an app. They've got a platform. They've got docs. Maybe that's because they built it all with AI. Who knows?
Oh, maybe. Yeah. The momentum there with AI. Yeah. It's kind of scary how fast these things move these days.
I feel good and bad about how simple it is, because it's good, to like open up development to more people, like, let 1,000 flowers bloom. But on the other hand, like, God, I've seen so many terrible, terrible projects. Have you done any? Have you been doing any vibe coding? Have you built anything strictly, just like let the AI just go?
So I do actually lean on AI coding a lot these days.
Yeah.
But it can be it's one of those things where I don't know if you've probably heard like like two people can Google the same thing and get completely different results, or like Googling is a skill even.
Yeah.
And I think AI is like that, but multiplied. And so I think there's plenty of people who've gotten poor experience with it, because it seems like there's a lot of people who hate it. But I've gotten great experiences with it and terrible experiences.
Yeah.
But what I've found is that if you really limit the scope of what you're trying to do with the AI, that helps a lot. And so what I try to do is limit it down to one function, and sometimes I'll even, just do a small piece of that function at a time.
Yeah.
And that has worked the best for me. That's been the longest running good strategy for me for a while here, for just like maybe a year or two.
Yeah.
But something that I've noticed getting better is the context awareness of some of these AI models or AI tools. So I started with Cursor originally, and I was like super, suspicious that it'd be anything good. But I found out really quickly that it can get at least, it can get you from 0 to something, that is very workable very quickly. And so the way that I experienced that was I wanted to write a small like game for iOS, for iPhone. And what I did was I just kind of described like what a basic level should look like. I added like, I described a health meter, a hunger meter, and some like movement and interaction kind of details. And it actually, it got most of that done in just the first few prompts, which was like less than half an hour of work, right? And I remember looking at that and being like, God, this would have taken me at least a week or two to first like understand the different, things that it's using here, because it was like getting into Sprite Kit. It was even using some very specific like UI kit tricks.
Wow.
But basically, I got something going much faster than I could have. And then I continued to work on that just like because I was so excited about it, and it just like began to fall all over itself. It forgot everything that it wrote itself, and it wasn't able to fix any bugs after a certain point.
Oh man.
But what it showed me was that it can do some things like pretty quick, a lot faster than I could, a lot faster than most developers could, I think. Yeah. And so what I decided to do was like I actually just shelved that project, and sometimes I come back to it and like tweak around with it a little bit. But I decided to figure out how to make it work in my own projects. Where okay, maybe it can't have project awareness, great project awareness, but maybe like if you just kind of like give it very specific problems, especially problems that other people have solved many times, problems that you can Google and find easy answers for. That seems to be
that's a great point.
Yeah, that seems to be the stuff it's best at.
Yeah, I mean, by definition, I mean, there's millions of smarter people have talked about how these are actually built, but by definition, right, the most common, most probable thing, whatever you're chatting about, is the thing that's going to work best. So,
right.
yeah, like, I think at the last NSCoder meetup, one of our colleagues was talking about just throwing their app at it and having it bang out unit tests.
Okay.
I think it was Claude, but yeah, like in this case, it was a constrained problem space. It was well known. A unit test is a pretty straightforward line of code.
Oh, yeah.
But then, as you said, once you're trying to have it run the whole project, too much context. My poor wife, she's a front end engineer.
Okay.
And she'll just be screaming at Claude like, "No, don't do that!" And
Yeah.
at the end of like every Friday, she's like, "I should have just written this page myself. Like, why?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Why did I do it the hard way?"
Yeah, yeah, and I think there's a level of discovery there where like you kind of have to figure out what you're willing to just like do the work on yourself because it'll be straightforward, versus where it might help to have some. I kind of think of it as like like a coworker like with outside knowledge might know stuff that you haven't looked up yet, and that's like if it's gonna be super straightforward, I'll definitely just write that code myself really quick. I'd rather do that than try to see if AI gets it right or wrong, and then edit or especially where my knowledge isn't the strongest, or even where I don't remember the exact syntax or the specific name of different objects and managers. I find it's really great for that. And even if it gets it wrong, at least it like points me in the right direction because it can remember those names faster than I can,
Exactly.
Yeah, and it takes about the same amount of time as it does to just look up the documentation.
Yeah. In the olden days, right? Like you used your game example. Like say you wanted to do a little sprite kit flourish, like have something, animate and explode or something, and you'd have to go look at the sample code, copy paste the sample code, make a sample project, and like that's good. You're learning along the way, but if it's not something that's core to the app, you've now spent a week to get this little feature where you could have been like, hey, artificial intelligence assistant, just knock this out, like synthesize it for me.
Yeah,
and it's like you said, even if it's wrong, you're closer than you were, and you can tweak it, and then you're done, and you got the value you wanted.
Yeah. AI can allow you to test different things a lot faster.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things I've realized with it is that it's also a little bit like first it's great as a like coding assistant, like kind of like that pair programming coworker.
Yeah.
But second, it's great as like a source of like knowledge. Like there's plenty of things that I'm not an expert on yet, but it's got more knowledge on than I do, And sometimes what I like to do is just ask it like, what is the best practice for what I'm trying to achieve here? And it's funny because it won't always, like if you ask it to do something, it won't always do the best practice first, But if you look at it and you kind of get that like code stink, like, this looks like it could be better. You can just like ask it like, is this best practice? What would an expert think about this? And it'll fix it based on that,
My go-to example that illustrates what you just described at last year I was leading engineering at a startup and had to build some very basic reporting, like pull some data out of production, pull some data out of our payment reports, put it in an Excel sheet. And I was like, I know there's a way to do this in Python, but I don't know enough to know. So I just, hacked at it with ChatGPT. And ChatGPT gave me a very plausible Python file that made up dependencies. It was totally, it did not run. It would not work.
Yeah.
But it was close enough. And I was like, oh, okay, this, I understand. And based on that and the documentation, then I was able to get it to the thing that worked, right? Get to the value.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, super confident.
Yeah.
Totally wrong, but like still closer, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's good.
Yeah, it's you actually just gave me flashbacks there, mentioning its reliance on dependencies and some that might not exist.
Oh, yeah.
I do remember it trying to like add so many dependencies to my projects, especially in cases where I felt like it wasn't necessary, you know.
Yeah.
But what I kind of saw over time was it went from recommending a lot of dependencies at first, and then maybe weeks or months later, it got a little bit better at the dependencies it was recommending. Like you said in the beginning, it was kind of like, you know, dependencies that didn't really exist.
Yeah.
I think what it might have been doing was imagining or remembering dependencies for other languages and frameworks. And assuming that they existed for Swift and Xcode.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did see that get better, and like that felt like a flashback because I don't actually get a lot of dependency recommendations anymore. I realized.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
See, we've come full circle in our conversation because what we started with is this rapid advancement. Any AI super fan is gonna say, "Oh, just give it a week, give it a month." Like it's these companies, these models, these tools are iterating so quickly.
Sure, yeah.
That like, just wait a week or two and it'll be better. And like for better or for worse.
Oh yeah,
that is often the case.
It's happening. We're seeing it.
It's uncanny.
Yeah. I'm just trying to ride the wave as much as I can while it's happening, because what I'm afraid of is like another 2 years are gonna fly by, and I won't have to write any of it, but neither will anyone else. So like,
Yeah. My former boss and mentor, Fred Lee, former CTO of Inova, Amount, Belly, Gamut. He's a pretty smart guy. I was talking to him last year about like, oh, but the code isn't right, or it makes up dependencies, or it makes spaghetti code that's unmaintainable. And he's like, yeah, but if it keeps getting better, and you're just talking to a computer to fix if it's a computer reading the spaghetti code, then at a certain point, who cares?
Right.
That's so depressing.
Yeah.
But that's just because it's like a woodworker who has like a chainsaw. You're like, oh man, I used to do this by hand. But now everybody's using machines. Like,
right. Yeah, and I mean, like, I guess any technology, like that first chainsaw probably wasn't the best or the safest, but chainsaws have probably come a long way since then,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried about how easy things could get, to be honest, like because I've actually seen it in the media landscape where it wasn't too long ago that putting together like videos and music was a lot more difficult. You needed the right tools for it, you needed the right equipment for it, but these days everyone has all of that in their phone. And so you've got all of this content for social media that honestly would have taken a huge amount of skill and intention to do like 10 or 15 years ago. But now, like, people are putting this stuff together like just for fun, casually.
Gosh, think of the jingle writers for commercials, stock photography,
Right.
All this stuff which became grist for the mill, training data. Now anyone can just, I need a jingle for my little TikTok thing.
Yeah,
beep boop boop.
Especially with AI. Yeah. I kind of try to apply that same thing that happened there to like coding, and if they are kind of aligned in how they develop, that means that there's probably going to be a lot of apps that end up coming out that are just going to be like created super casually. Might be like trendy or popular for a short time, but maybe that's all that matters. But that didn't necessarily like make Hollywood obsolete, right? Like all of that skill and talent is still around and still, very much, useful and valuable. But you've just kind of got this different vein of content, and maybe it'll be the same with apps. You'll have like maybe casual, shallow, just for fun apps, or something that does something, but not much else. And then you'll still have your like like Facebook and Instagram and all of that.
I like your hopeful tone. I like your perspective on it.
Yeah, well, if it goes that way,
'cause,
we'll still
like-
have a job, maybe, you know.
Well, I think good taste is the difference, because like
Yeah.
on my hell feed on LinkedIn, I'll see,
Yeah.
oh, I vibe coded this app this weekend. It's like a high intensity interval training timer, or it's a video game, and I look
Mm-hmm. Right.
at it on the App Store and it's disgusting. It's like, it's
Yep.
ugly. It doesn't work. The buttons do
Mm-hmm.
3 things or no things, and it charges $14 a day, and like,
Right,
like,
right.
this is terrible. Like, so there's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the good and bad of democratizing
Yeah,
tools.
yeah.
Anyone
yeah.
can do it, so you'll have a lot more, but there's still
Right.
good taste. There's still
Oh, yeah,
talent.
yeah.
There's still, there's gotta be. Anytime I get sad, I think like, well, since ancient Greece, people have been saying this, that like, the next generation has no talent, no taste. They either don't know what's going on,
Right,
everything's
right.
bad.
Yeah.
So like, it can't, well, maybe it's true this time.
I wonder, yeah. The one that really scares me is I think I've seen interviews of Sam Altman and some of these people saying that the future is not gonna have any kind of app, but you'll just like interface with your AI for everything. That's the one that scares me the most, because then there'll really be no need for software developers.
Well, I mean, this is, it's funny. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I just realized every podcast and every NSCoder eventually becomes an AI podcast, or
Oh,
an AI,
man.
because it's like, it's so big right now.
It is, yeah. It's shaking the industry, that's for sure.
But yeah, if you think of the Star Trek future, like in X years, there's enough of everything, right? Like nobody wants for anything. Then people can explore art and travel distant galaxies and all this stuff. But the gap there is the cultural change, because like to get to the Star Trek future, we have to share
Exactly.
and we have to like abolish money, I guess.
Right,
And,
right.
Like,
yeah, we have to become compassionate enough to help the people who aren't keeping
Exactly.
up. Yeah. Yeah, it's
and I don't really trust Sam Altman to help with that.
yeah. I really do wonder what's going to happen there. I did see a recent interview with Elon Musk where he kind of talked about this transition, and he spoke about it in terms of like, this is going to be a real struggle for a lot of people.
Oh man.
But the end of the tunnel is going to be just like pure abundance, and at that point it seems like he really does expect that, people are going to have plenty to share. It's just hard to see how everything will connect.
Yeah. There's software, ideas, money move a lot faster than I don't know, prejudice, culture, racism, like
Yeah.
that's outside the scope of a tech podcast. But yeah, that's regardless of technology, that's where humanity has to get to, or
Sure,
else,
yeah.
well, or else nothing's gonna work.
This is really getting outside of we don't have to spend much time on this at all, but I love the recent like stuff that's happened around like aliens. Like, it used to be so niche, but like one of the theories I've seen is like aliens are out there, but they don't want to interact with us yet because we're still so like against each other on so many things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? That's actually the key right there for us to get to that abundant stage is for all of us to become like maybe less competitive and more like, let's just take care of everyone.
Yeah. Gosh.
I wonder,
Man.
but
No, I'm gonna go watch Star Trek First Contact again. It's a good movie.
ooh, I haven't seen it yet. I have to add that to my list. Tying things back to this news story here about the Xcode alternatives. So it sounds like, at least on my side, I know I've only been interfacing with AI through Xcode because they've got that AI panel now. And then ChatGPT, which can actually tie into Xcode if you give it the permissions. Is
Nice.
that your experience too? Or have you used any other alternatives?
Well, I haven't done much firsthand development in a long time
Okay,
since I've been in leadership for years.
I've heard that happens. Yeah.
At the last company that I was leading engineering, we found a lot of value in ChatGPT Copilot code review, because it was like a super powered linter.
Okay,
it would
nice.
it would do more than just check syntax. It would do that, and sometimes it'd pop in and be like, "Oh, hey, your arguments are out of order here." And we're like, "Wow, that's pretty great."
Yeah.
But with actual code, everyone I talk to has such a vastly different experience depending on language, scope, project, tooling. So, like, I don't know. I'm really excited to hear that you're getting good results out of
Yeah.
Swift development. Like that's
Oh yeah,
exciting. That's
I'm
cool.
I'm definitely excited to be on the happier side of that fence. Like, I do like I try to keep up with this stuff, and I also see that even like OpenAI's own developers are leaning hard on their AI models to help them develop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it might be one of those things where it's just a subjective kind of thing. Where some people used to think that Stack Overflow was like if you had to like copy and paste from that, you weren't a real developer. When in truth, like, I don't know any developer that hasn't leaned on Stack Overflow before.
Yeah.
At least
yeah.
before AI. I think it could be the same thing with these AI tools, where it's like, if you like it, you're gonna find things that you like about it, and if you don't want to like it, you're gonna find plenty to hate about it.
Yep.
Yeah, I might have to check out some of these other IDEs. I've tried Cursor before, but I'll be honest, I'm a little bit of a like. I try to be a minimalist when it comes to my projects, even with like my dependencies. If I don't have to like install a dependency, if it's not going to take me much time to like get the specific function that I need, then I'd prefer to do it myself and not have the like having to juggle like these other things. And so I do have some hesitancy in trying some of these other IDEs, but definitely curious.
The limiting factor is just time. Like, even if you take AI out of it and you're like, "Hey team, we have this new tool." Well, I'm busy shipping the software I have. I don't have time to look at this tool.
Yeah.
Like, you need to carve out some space so I can explore this new tool or try these new things. And like, without that, it's just, you'll just be mad at yourself, or your manager will be mad at the team. Like,
Right.
yeah, with any of these tools, it's so tough to keep up. You got to carve out some time for it.
Prior to all of this AI stuff, it used to be that a new thing would come out and you could kind of just give it a year or two to kind of like bake, and see what the community thinks about it. But now it's a year or two and it's a completely different thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're not even that old. I'm I came of age in the the 2000s in Objective-C,
Sure.
like before on the Mac, before the iPhone came out. But you talk to web developers that have been around since the beginning of the web. It used to go so slow by comparison, and they thought that was fast. And now it's like every second there's another game-changing JavaScript package. Mac OS used to release every year and a half or 3 years, depending on and now it's just like every year you have to keep up. Here's Liquid Glass.
Yeah. That's like exciting for me and a little bit scary, but something it reminds me of is like the music industry a little bit. I'm actually curious. Have you dabbled with music much yourself?
I mean, I noodle around on a guitar, but that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, well, so something even in the guitar space that you'll see is like plenty of people going different ways, where some people will stick with acoustic completely. Some people get into like electric guitar, but then even when you get into electric guitar, then you can get into all kinds of different pedals, different genres. Even if you stick to the same style of music, let's say you stick with acoustic, you might get into music from different angles, where maybe you've got your like 15 to 20 different chords that and you're just rearranging that for different songs. or maybe you're like the chord and melody master and you like get really into like, chord progression and the art behind that. Um, I kind of see like that maybe happening with software, and I think that's already existed in some way, but
Yeah.
where you're going to have so many different routes you can go. And all of these routes will have their own like progression, speeds, and lengths. But it seems like we're just going to be presented with so many options that we can kind of go down any path we want to and probably end up somewhere productive no matter which way we go.
Yeah, that's another optimistic good point. Because even today there are some engineers that work in compiler or super high performance code, and they need to be in the assembly, like fine tuning binary,
Right,
and
getting way
or
deeper
maybe
into it than I ever want to.
yeah, or there's like consumer grade software, and then there's games, and then even on a game there's some people that are working on the engine, again fine tuning C++ code.
Right.
And there are other people, I don't know, making models, designing levels, scripting in Lua. So, it takes all kinds. The assembly jobs changed or got, less important. But, like, again, it's that theme of democratization. Like, there's many more people doing many more things, but that doesn't mean that the old things disappear, right? Like,
Right.
there's still a path for all sorts of tools and technologies and interests.
The next story I have is titled Android Developers Can Now Make Apps Using Apple's Swift. Apple's Swift programming language can now officially be used to build Android apps thanks to the newly released Swift SDK for Android, developed by the independent Android Workgroup, formed in June 2025. This SDK, available for macOS, Linux, and Windows, I think macOS probably includes all of Apple's platforms, makes it much easier to create Android apps in Swift and share code with iOS, enabling true cross-platform development. The group says this milestone builds on years of community effort and reflects Swift's maturity after a decade of evolution. While developers could previously build Android apps in Swift with workarounds, this is the first time it's been straightforward and officially supported through nightly preview builds. So with that bit of news, are you tempted at all to get into Android development?
Gosh, my whole life I've been tempted to get into Android development, but never made the leap. There's again at our meetups at NSCoder, it's so funny because at any sort of, maybe not budget strapped, but at any cost conscious organization, if you're on either side of the fence, at some point your boss is going to be like, hey, so would you be interested?
Right. Yep.
There's always that dream of like true cross-platform. It's like, oh man, if only we could pay one person and have two apps,
Yep. I think the tough thing I've seen making that more difficult is that there's different efforts to make that cross-platform dream come true. And so here we've got like Apple's Swift, allowing more of that, but there's already like Flutter. There's that's the one I've heard of most recently, but I know that there's others that I've like honestly tried to stay away from. And the main thing that I've heard is that you run into limitations with these different frameworks. React Native, that's the other one I was thinking of.
Yeah. Here in Chicago, we've got a couple places that are all in on React Native. One of our friends from NSCoder, Tom, he works at Vivid Seats. They're all in on React Native. They've got mostly one code base, but they still need some experts, on both platforms to bridge the gap, to cover that last mile.
Yeah, Yeah, and that's what I hear the most is that you still end up needing to do some very platform-specific things. Um,
Yeah.
and in that way, it seems like you end up building for 3 platforms instead of 2. And that's the
Yeah.
shared sentiment that I've seen a lot. And so, yeah, this kind of thing with Apple Swift, it makes me feel like it's another version of that, maybe, because these frameworks, of course they are targeting different features, and some of them are going to, make more or less progress on that than the others. Um, I kind of see this as the same thing as that, as we've got this Swift SDK for Android, but how much does it cover, and what are its limitations?
In the abstract, like, was anyone asking for Swift on Android?
Right.
Do you still I don't know, I'd have to look at it, but you'd still have to reference all the Android SDK, right? It's not like anyone ported over
I wonder.
Apple stuff. It's just core frameworks for Swift.
Yeah, that's my guess. It's like they probably created like an Android version of Foundation or something like that. I'd have to look into it more.
Well. So it says they're porting over about 25% of the packages in the Swift package index.
Okay.
So there's some stuff coming over, but still I think it's just like React Native or any other cross-platform tool, you still have to last mile it. Like it does not magically make your code work everywhere.
Right. Maybe there are components of your project that can now be shared across these different projects with Android, maybe with Linux.
Yeah.
But unless the code is like truly ground up custom, you might run into some limitations. And it's actually kind of, I've realized, so I did a little bit of like back-end development with Swift, and I realized it's actually pretty hard to like work without things like Foundation and UI Kit at the time.
Yeah.
It's like, man, they come with so many conveniences that you don't even like realize there's this one thing that you've used this whole time based on those frameworks.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I get hopeful about, is that if you're like the type of developer to really build things from the ground up yourself, you've got like several different, files and this like really valuable, like basically machine that's working in your app that you built completely yourself. Yeah, you can bring that over to another project now, maybe in Android, I guess, or to the back end. But yeah, as soon as you need to maybe do some like image processing, read a QR code or something like that, it might get tricky.
I'm such a curmudgeon about cross-platform stuff, or even like even Swift on the server, which is not really cross-platform, but like, it's not bad by any means. Like I did some Swift on the server for fun a few years ago, and it was pretty immature, and then I picked it up again this summer, just to noodle around. But there's so much momentum behind every other server-side language.
Yeah.
Go, .NET, Rust, Python, like Ruby on Rails, like, so it's not bad by any means, Swift on the server, but
sure,
it's
competing with all of those.
Yeah, I build something and then I'm like, well, why would I do this versus Rust or Go, which
has already made so much more progress in those fronts. Yeah,
I know there's tons of differences, but like Go is like laser focused on concurrency, and like Rust is like super safe, super type, super memory safe. Like, why? Same as the Android SDK for Swift. What problem is this solving, right?
Yeah.
And I just, I'm an amateur, so I'd love to hear from people. Like, it could just be, this is what I know. Like, if you are a Swift wizard and you've worked in Swift for 10 years,
sure, yeah,
and then you're like, I want to make a backend, then like that's solving a problem. That's awesome.
Yeah. I remember like thinking that might like be how I feel if I go to back-end development, and then I realized there's like a whole new architecture I have to learn. and like, routing is a thing, and like it's not MVC or MVVM anymore, and then I realized that maybe Firebase does come with some conveniences.
I mean, the one thing that I don't think we've touched on regardless of all the implementation details and what problem does it solve, I've continued to be impressed that Apple pushes Swift, and the community pushes Swift. Like, I remember when Chris Latner left Apple that was probably a long time ago. Yeah, and I was like, like I imagine that Apple would just like shut down the open source stuff, but they've continued to invest in it. Swift has continued to push into new areas. So like the fact that the community and Apple are committed to it, like a real open source project. It's not perfect by any means, but like far better than I had feared just a few years ago. Like that, whether or not this Android SDK is like groundbreaking or, you know, a game changer, like I'm just glad it exists. Like that is good.
Yeah, like any technology really depends on a good and healthy community supporting it. That's been the opposite of what I've seen on the Vision OS front, you know?
Oh, poor Vision OS.
Yeah, you know, it's like this revolutionary technology, but it's not the most comfortable thing to wear, and so you've got barely any supporters.
Do you own a headset? Did you buy one?
I did, yeah. I bought one day one.
You've got one?
Yeah,
Oh,
I do.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. And I've even developed a little bit for it.
Oh,
Nothing
wow.
finished and released, but enough to kind of understand hand tracking and working with 3D space, placing objects and stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, it's one of those things where, as a kind of forward-looking person, you can see the potential of it. You know.
Oh, yeah.
But it really does require that kind of passionate developer base behind it,
Yeah.
in the same way that the iPhone did, you know. And I think one of the big things that the iPhone had when app developers got on board with that was just all of the excitement, the fact that it felt like such a so much better than anything else out there, that it was really the future of phones,
Yeah.
and personal computing. I think that people have been on the fence about whether this headset thing is going to take off or not. And just being on the fence, like not even being against it, but being on the fence is enough to like keep people from really, you know, taking it as far as it could go.
Oh, yeah. Because you need, on any platform, you need I don't know, like the three-legged stool. You need like innovative technology, something that's exciting, that opens up new possibilities. And I think Vision OS has that. You need an audience. I don't think Vision OS has the audience.
Yeah, not yet at least. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. And then what's the third one? I don't know, developer relations. Like I just feel, I mean, Apple's never great at developer relations. Like I feel like we always feel kind of disrespected. Like
Yeah, especially
come on, Tim.
Yeah, I think the past decade, developers maybe have been taken for granted. You know.
Yeah.
I remember like there was so much excitement around like app developers initially, when the App Store was really taking off. But I don't think it's just Apple either. I think across the board, like a lot of platforms kind of put these tools out and expect developers to really make it into something, and it doesn't always happen like that. And yeah, Vision OS is definitely seeing that. And that's one that's got native Swift development.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I don't have a Vision headset. I couldn't justify it to myself, but a few of our friends do. They've been at our meetup a couple times. I've done a couple demos with our friends.
Sure.
But yeah, it's so cool, and I'm just like, okay, so what do I do with it? Like, if it was $1,000 and I watched, would I spend that much to watch 3D movies? Maybe.
The thing that I've realized is part of it is the application side of like, what do I do with this that I can't already do with my other devices, where I've got a, you know, good routine that I'm happy with.
Yeah.
But the other part of it is that it really is kind of like an event or a session that you really have to like launch into, you know, like you can't just like grab it out of your pocket and get going, you know. You've kind of like gotta strap on the headset, and then you gotta maybe be somewhere comfortable where you can kind of flail your arms around, you know. It's like you have to kind of like get in that mode as opposed to just like being ready to go immediately, you know.
Now that you say that, that's so obvious, but that is so true.
Yeah.
Like what do you do to start using a phone or a Mac? You pick it up, or you open up the screen, and you're in it,
Yeah.
right? What do you do with Vision? You gotta put it on. Oh,
Right.
the battery's not charged. Ugh.
Especially if you don't use it often. Like I actually, for a while there, I was using it multiple times a week. Mostly
nice,
just
yeah.
to feel like I was making, good use of the money I spent on it,
Yeah, we gotta.
But I was really trying to use it often, and I realized at the end of the day, it's just like very different to be able to kind of like hit the space bar and you're ready to go on your Mac. But
Yeah.
yeah, the Vision Pro, there's enough of a barrier, and it's not a big barrier, It's not that bad to like. It's like
Yeah.
the equivalent of putting on a helmet before you like go for a bike ride. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
But the bike ride is what makes the helmet worth wearing. Unless you're not just gonna wear a
yeah.
helmet for fun,
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know if there's anything like that for Vision Pro. Like, what makes it worth putting on that thing?
Yeah. I have no direct experience, but I have read that in enterprise applications, like, I don't know, like, I think Formula One bought a bunch of them, or like, doctors in training or something bought a bunch of them. Like, I feel like, I'm sure there are use cases, but like you said, like, what is worth the bike ride? Like, for a consumer user, maybe it is just 3D movies, but that doesn't, it feels like there's something else there.
Yeah, and it's got its own specific audiences in that way too. For example, like you mentioned, you've got a wife, I've got my fiance, and something that's nice about that is kind of like when we want to watch a movie, we can just sit on the couch and like, turn on the TV, and it's immediately a shared experience. But if I'm the only one with the Vision Pro headset, that becomes a lot more of a like independent experience that she doesn't get to see, even where she has to like see me sitting around in that thing.
You've got your helmet on, your mouth hanging open, just kind of drooling while you're watching.
Exactly.
Something.
I'm like in a different world completely, and she probably wonders if she could even talk to me.
Yeah.
But if I were back in my like bachelor life, living in my own like studio apartment, barely going out, I would probably be using the Vision Pro a lot more,
Yeah, when it came out, there was the argument. It was like, well, you don't have to buy a big monitor or a TV, so that saves you like, upwards of $1,500,
Right. Yeah.
Ignoring the fact that we, like you just said, we live in a world where you want to share those experiences with people.
Exactly.
You can't say like, hey, come look at my monitor. I want to show you this.
Right,
if it's the Vision Pro.
Unless you're like, what I heard with the recent Vision Pro update, the M5 Vision Pro, a lot of people are upgrading and then handing their M2 Vision Pro down to their spouses.
Oh man.
Or their family members.
I gotta get a better job. I gotta figure out how to do that.
Right.
If you can afford not one but two, then more power to you. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. My third topic here is liquid glass. Liquid glass is Apple's new design language / material that aims to give UI a fluid, glass-like feel. It uses translucency, depth, refraction, and movement to unify how UI elements look and behave across Apple's platforms. Apple describes it as combining the optical properties of glass with a sense of fluidity. Liquid glass became available with the release of iOS 26. The design language was explicitly inspired by the UI paradigm of Vision OS, the OS for Apple's mixed reality headset. The floating translucent layers, depth, motion, and glass material metaphor were first built in the spatial mixed reality context of Vision OS, and then adapted for flat screen devices like iPhones and iPads. So liquid glass has been out for a little bit now. What are your impressions of it so far?
All right, let me stretch. Let me crack my knuckles. All right. as you just described, liquid glass is the liquidity, the controls sort of blobbing together and apart. It's the transparency, and it's also the sort of the layers, the glass deformation, right? When it works, which is not frequently, but when it works, when the blobby thing works, the movement between controls, and like honestly for me, and I have like a last year's Pro iPhone on iOS 26. It did not work most of the time.
Oh, wow.
So sometimes it would stutter, or the little blob would move, but it'd be the wrong color.
And this is the
Like,
release
there's just
version,
so many-
not the beta version, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
but
wow.
Release version, and I noticed because 26.1 just came out yesterday, and so my phone is on that now, and I noticed that that's working better. It's not great or perfect, but like better, and that like within reason, I appreciate motion in a UI like that. That's pretty good, but everywhere else on my phone, I was playing with the music app this morning. I was like, open the player, close the player, open the player, close the player. And on first open, first close, it's the wrong color. It defaults to like a light, and then it pops to dark, or vice versa.
Sure.
But then on subsequent opens and closes, it works. And so like I could go on listing all the things that bother me, but like I think the big thing is it's just not, it's like not finished. Like, if you read all that Apple rumors, it's like they've been working on this for a while, but they needed something for this year's release, a like big tentpole feature. So they're like, oh crap, let's move it up.
Sure.
We will never know if that's true. That is only what has been rumored.
Yeah.
But like it shows. Like I'm hopeful that like by, I don't know, 26.5, it'll be much more fluid and pleasing to look at and stuff.
Sure.
But like, yeah, right now it's just, ugh.
I think I've seen some of the bugginess that you mentioned.
Are you running it across the board, like latest release on your iPad, Vision, Mac, phone, everything?
I am.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah. I did upgrade to it as soon as it became available on my iPhone 11 Pro, which I think is like more than 5 years old.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't notice many issues there, but since then, I upgraded to the latest iPhone since my iPhone had gotten so old. I was getting general like lagginess with my phone where it's like, okay, most of it works fine, but to launch the camera, it takes like 10 seconds, you know?
Ugh, yeah.
And that was like a few different things, here and there. But that was enough to get me to finally upgrade. And I've realized that the behavior of liquid glass is different on the latest phone than it is from my 11 Pro.
Oh.
And if I had to guess, the version of liquid glass on my latest phone is probably more performance heavy. That's probably why it's different. And maybe that's affecting some of this stuff. I'd imagine that you probably have the more performance heavy version of liquid glass too. I wouldn't expect a year to make a huge difference, but I will say, while I've noticed some like bugs with liquid glass, it hasn't been super experience breaking. And I do use my phone a lot, enough for it to basically run dry daily, like on the battery life for the latest phone. It's supposed to last a day and a half, but
Whoa.
yeah, I'm like, geez, what are these YouTube videos doing? I can only imagine what kind of background processes are happening constantly, you know. But I will say I did notice liquid glass quirks in my development.
Oh God.
More than just my like usage.
Yeah, every NSCoder meetup for the last couple months has been like, it worked on this build, it doesn't work on that build.
Oh.
Yeah, tell me more about these quirks you found.
Well, so it gets really finicky depending on the view that you put it on. So the nice thing about Swift UI is you can kind of be very modular with your views, right? You can kind of have a view that, I guess this has always been the case with UIKit, but you can see it very explicitly in how you set up with your code with Swift UI. Maybe you have like a view that has a Z stack, that has like an H stack, and maybe maybe it wouldn't matter from a visual perspective whether the glass effect was on that H stack or Z stack. But depending on which one you put it on, you're going to get different behavior.
Cool.
Yeah, what I realized was I think it was actually with maybe it was with a button that was in an H stack that was in a V stack. But that I think I had it on the deepest level, maybe straight on the button. The glass effect was there, and what I realized was while I was using the app, the drop shadow, the edges of the drop shadow would be cut off, but it would only be cut off for like a second, and then it would go back to normal looking.
Yeah.
But it was enough for me to be like, is that a bug on my side, or if that was a quirk with liquid glass, and maybe it would fix itself over time. But
yeah. Somebody, if we're lucky, somebody listening to this is going to be like, oh, you just have to like, yeah, I don't know, add this property at 7 seconds
Sure.
after launch or something, like
Yeah.
do this incantation.
Yeah.
I think with all the like, because all the glass doodads, all the UI elements have to be context aware, right? Like they're dark if the background's light, or light if the background's dark, and they have to like, if you move your phone around, this didn't work for me until the most recent release, until 26.1. But if you wiggle your phone around, you can see the light,
right,
the fake light, on the glass elements,
like the silver lining,
And like I feel bad. There's probably like 3 engineers deep in Apple working in like, I don't know, core image, and trying to get all that to work, and they're like, oh,
efficiently.
God, this sucks so much.
Yeah. With the drop shadow issue that I noticed, it helped to remove it from the innermost view and move it to the outermost view.
Did that quote fix it, or at least work around it?
It works great now.
Oh,
I haven't noticed the bug since then. Yeah. But it's a weird quirk that you wouldn't expect intuitively,
Oh yeah. Well, that's in UI development.
There's a lot of those.
Yeah, they should just make that a T-shirt. Yeah, it's a weird fix that you wouldn't expect.
Right. And so, I'm that's really been my thing about it, is that when you're developing with it, it can be very finicky. There's also a difference between if you just add the glass effect versus if you add the glass effect with the interactive parameter. And the interactive parameter will, I think it makes a slightly different visual kind of effect when you tap on it. Like I think it highlights things a little bit more clearly. But I've also noticed that if you don't put that there on something that is supposed to be interactive, you might get some weird visual behavior. But, I think, like, to what you said about the engineers that are working on it, they must be, like, adding updates to it constantly, because it does seem to be kind of changing in behavior as time goes. It doesn't seem to be, and maybe it will never be, like, completely 100% done, Maybe it's one of those things where they're always touching it up, Yeah.
I wish I could be like a fly in the wall, deep in Apple headquarters, because like the graphics lineage that's on iOS goes all the way back. I mean, there's like massive rewrites and big changes and stuff and forks, but it goes all the way back to Next. Like the rendering on Mac OS X back in 20 years ago, more or less connects to what they've got today. So like I just can't imagine. I don't know. Is it an extensible framework? Is it the worst spaghetti code on earth? Like, I wish I could take a tour.
Right. I've talked to engineers from Facebook and Google, and at both of those, something that they mention is a very kind of framework governed land, I guess, where it's like, different development teams have created their frameworks, which you just kind of work alongside and make sure you don't ruin the behavior of anything else, But it's I would imagine it to be something like that. And in that way, I kind of wonder how much insight, the different teams have into each other's work, which, it's probably like, I know I've worked at some places where maybe I wouldn't be contributing code to any specific framework, but at least I could search the GitHub and see all of the different components there. Must be something like that. And if it is like that, I imagine it's, you've probably got, even with Apple as like the, owner of all of this, they've probably got tons of legacy code in there,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would like to believe that they're probably keeping, the most important pieces up to date as much as possible and as minimal and clean as possible. But sometimes something just works and you don't want to break it, so you just keep using it.
Well, I think all of us, anyone that's programmed likes to believe that there's nirvana, there's a utopia somewhere. It's like, certainly Google has figured this out. Certainly Apple has figured this out. But in reality, I'm sure if you went there, it'd be like, nope, it's just another like sort of messy project. We're doing our best.
Yeah, I've actually heard complaints from Google. I don't know how big of a deal it is. Maybe it's like this everywhere. But they've mentioned that there are teams that have, since they don't use the popular frameworks that most places use, since it's so custom, you end up having to like learn these things, and it almost becomes like a burden on the developers there to figure out how their own internal frameworks work compared to maybe normal frameworks out in the wild.
Yeah, textbook cost of legacy code right there.
Right.
If you enjoyed this conversation at all and you want to be a part of the conversation, NSCoder meets monthly, usually the last Tuesday of every month. Check us out. Join us on Meetup. Check out our website. Get in touch.
Yes, please go. It's awesome. You'll probably see me there. It's you'll see both of us there. It's a great time. Also, usually there's free pizza and salad.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. What's not to love?
Exactly.